So today is our fourth class of Snowflake. So we are having the fourth demo class. So yesterday we did get started with our architecture. We saw that what are the three main layers in Snowflake architecture? Can anyone answer? Three main layers in Snowflake architecture. Bharat Kumar or anyone? No worries.
So
Yeah,
cloud
database
layer.
layer, query layer, and the cloud layer.
Sorry. Can you repeat that?
Database layer, then virtual warehouse,
Mm-hmm.
then cloud services, right? That is metadata. all kind of
Yep,
factors.
exactly. Yep. So we did see that like the first and foremost layer is a cloud service layer, which is mainly meant for your metadata management or optimization, security, governance, infrastructure billing. These all things are mainly taken care by this cloud service layer. It's like a brain of Snowflake. In this layer, mainly it doesn't store any data or run the query, but it coordinates with the other layer like virtual query processing layer or virtual warehouse layer, where it's mainly a main computation or heavy workloads are computed or heavy any high performance or anything, whatever is required to run any particular query, that particular part is done by query processing layer or virtual warehouse layer. We saw this, we saw what are the features of query processing layer, and then we saw about the storage layer where it's all our data is stored in the form of micro partition and highly compressed columnar format. Okay, we saw all these things, and then we saw how it integrates with all this layer where first, whenever you submit any query to the Snowflake using UI or any other way, the first and foremost thing, your cloud service layer is it checks the authentication and authorization whether the person who is accessing this particular data or table is having authority or not. Then once it checks that, then it checks it processes the parse the query and checks whether the given query is correct or not, whether the columns or metadata present for this particular query is there or not, and then it comes up with a execution plan, which is the which with the help of optimizer, making use of any caches or metadata, statistics, whatever the present inside the cloud service layer. It come up with a query execution plan, and this particular execution plan is being used by your compute layer or a query processing layer, which based on this, it allocates the warehouse and try to process your data. Okay, it performs all your filter joins or any logic which you have written to perform on top of data. Okay, then if any data it's required to process that particular query, then it fetches from the storage layer, it communicates with the storage layer, and then it fetches and it's execute and everything. Once it's done, then it communicates back to the cloud service layer that this particular query has been executed, and you can cache this particular result so that if when next time the person if I try to execute the same query, we can view the results from the cache. Now, how cache all works, we'll see in front. But now, for now, this is a main understanding we got from our Snowflake architecture. After that, we saw something called as editions in Snowflake. Okay, we saw there are different types of editions like standard edition, enterprise edition, business critical edition, then virtual private Snowflake edition. Okay, and then I did ask you to log into Snowflake, create a Snowflake account and try to log into Snowflake account and try to explore on the Snowflake. Did anyone try that? Did anyone try that? Were you able to log in? Any issues? Any issues?
I think I did. There is no PDF in the portal.
No PDF. So I did ask Mahesh to add that. Okay, I'll ask him again today. Okay, maybe
Yeah.
he might have missed that. Okay, I'll ask him. Today we'll get that. Sorry for that. No worries. Okay, now since we got started with Snowflake, we'll try to log in into Snowflake and try to learn about Snowflake now. Okay, now as soon as you log in, so usually what you'll get IDs like that. So these are the ID or ID authenticator based on your particular Snowflake account you have created. There will be a particular ID generated. Okay, you have to click. You will get that through your email, and once you click that, so you'll be able to. You'll get what are the username you have used. Whenever you click right, when you get an email confirmation, once you do that, they'll ask to create a username and password. So whatever that particular password you have created, you have to give here, and once you sign in, it will take to your Snowflake. Okay, there is no required to install Snowflake, nothing. Only you need a browser, internet, and a login credential. As soon as you do that, you will be logged into your Snowflake account. Okay, we'll try to understand the UI of Snowflake, and then we'll start coding inside the Snowflake. Okay, now as soon as you see there, when you logs, you see the number of trials, days of trials. That is, you can use this particular account for 118 days. Since I had given you a student account, for student account, Snowflake will give you 120 days of free trial. Whereas a generic account where you need to explore, it will give only 30 days of free trial. It doesn't mean that after 118 days you can't create another Snowflake account. You can create a same Snowflake account with the same email ID. That's Snowflake will allow that, but for this particular any coding you do inside this particular Snowflake account, you can't access or run after 118 days. Now, whatever the things you want, you have to export that, or whatever the code you have written, you have to export, and then you have to again paste it in a new account, or you have to do using something called as there is a data sharing. You have to do that, but we'll see that later. But this is how your Snowflake account looks. Okay. Now, when you come inside and click here something, there is a create button. Now, what is this? What is the purpose of this is it allows the user to create a new Snowflake object. Okay. What you can do here, you can create any SQL worksheet. What do you mean by worksheets? Whenever you try to code anything with respect to SQL, when you click here on the SQL worksheet, it's take that to new. Let me do it. Okay. Whenever you click on SQL worksheet, it will take to your worksheet. Here is the way you're trying to write your SQL. Okay. It's a similarly, whenever you are using any MySQL or MS SQL, where you will be any sessions opens, right? Where you are writing your code. In the same way, in Snowflake, it is called as a worksheet. Okay. Now, if you want to write your Python code, then there is something called as a Python worksheet. Here only with respect to Python, you'll be writing code. Okay. There are something called as a notebook. Now, it is similar to that of your Jupyter notebook or VS Code, where you will be writing your Python code or any Snowpark code, anything you want to write with respect to PySpark. It is similar to that. It comes with a notebook called as this notebook. We will be writing. Okay. There is something called a Streamlit app. We'll see that later. Then there is something called a dashboard also, where you can create a dashboard inside Snowflake itself to understand your about your data. Okay. It's not completely like a Power BI, the control which you have in the Power BI, but we can create dashboard as well inside the Snowflake. Okay. Now we have something called the tables. What are these different types of tables? We'll see, but you can create a table also for this. What are stage and views? We can see, and we'll see in the later stages. But we can add, if you want to add, you can click on this particular log, and if you can want to add any data, it will take you adding of data. This is a quick access of this all the things. Now I don't want to that. Let's explore a few more things here, and then we'll try to understand more. Okay. Now here is a home button. As soon as you see, this is a default home button that will be opening, and whatever the things you have worked so far in your projects and whatever the worksheets or anything which you have working, it will pop up here. Okay. It is for last 24 hours, whatever you have worked, it will show here. Okay. Now, next there is search button where you can go and search anything you want, or any warehouse or any table or any database you want to search, you can directly search that. And then as soon as you can access. Since we have not created anything, we are not able to see it. There is something called as a project here. Now, what is this project is whenever you want to create any particular project. Now you're working on certain project and you want to add that under certain, say, let's say KSR Datavision. Then now you want whatever the code you are going to do, you are going to add in that particular SQL worksheet or Python worksheet you want to add in this organize in the form of folder, then you can use something called as a project. Okay. Now this is how your projects work. Okay. Now there are, again, we talked about notebooks, we talked about worksheet. Now Streamlit is nothing but it's a low code interactive web application. Okay. You can create your web application within Snowflake using this Streamlit, where you can use this particularly for building your visual dashboard, anything like sharing data across the apps. Mainly for building apps inside Snowflake, we use this. This is not where mainly your data engineer work will be doing, but whenever you'll be working with any ML model or data engineering model or analysis part, they will be using this Streamlit. Okay. Again, we talked about dashboards also. There are something called as a app packages. These app packages are nothing but where if you're developing any native applications, you can develop any native application using that, and you can deploy that inside your Snowflake market where you can sell that application. Okay, you can do that with respect to Snowflake also, but this will be not looking into it. This is not again data engineer. Okay. Now when you click something, there is a called a data app here. Now what is this data app? We'll try to understand. Okay. Now under this data app, you can see there is something called as a database. Okay. Whenever you go and click on database, by default, whenever you create your Snowflake account, Snowflake will give you two databases as default. One is something called a Snowflake sample data, where you can work around, explore data. They have given you a these all are the 100, I think 100 GBs of data, 1 TBs of data. Based on the size of the data, variety of data they have given. Based on this data, you can explore or write or anything. If you want to explore directly inside Snowflake, you can make use of this sample data, and you can work. But you can't edit, delete, or alter this. This is only for read only. Anything you want inside the Snowflake, you can do that. Okay. There is another called as a Snowflake, where it manages all your metadata information. So this is not for ourselves. This is only maintained by Snowflake, where it is how your account is maintained. Based on that, this all the information is being created. Okay, these are the two databases by default. Whenever you are going to create your Snowflake account is being there. Now, if you want to create a new database, you can directly click here, and you can do using UI. But we'll be using coding. We'll be showing you using coding. But you can create here also. Okay, we'll explore more on database. Give me some time. First, we'll finish it off all the features of the Snowflake. Okay, there is something called as add data. Now, what is this add data? I showed here also. There is something called as add data. Whenever you click on add data, something it pops up. Okay, if you want to load directly into your data from any local, you can click on this and browse, and you can add. Okay, we'll explore that again more. If you want to load data into your stages, again, what are stages and all? For now, please keep it as a part. We'll explore that. But we can add our data using directly from our S3. Directly, if you want, you can connect your S3. You can explore from your S3. If you want from Microsoft Blob storage or AWS, you can do Google storage. If you want, you can do that. And there are marketplaces or nothing, but where a lot of data has been published by the other company, and they sell their data. If you want to explore on top of data, you can go there also, and you can use that data, and you can bring that data. And if you want any other connector for MySQL or any other things you want to bring, there are some inbuilt. It is being given by the Snowflake, where you can explore that, and you can add those data. Okay, there is something called as migration. Now, earlier Snowflake used to not give this for the public. It was something called as inbuilt by the Snowflake, where whenever you see there, if you want to convert your Oracle or Teradata or SQL code into something called as a Snowflake compatible code, then you can use it. Okay, how to use it we'll see in the future classes. But as soon as you click here, you have to install this. Some application is there, and it's similar to like your VS Code. It will compare, and whatever the compatibility code with respect to your SQL, with respect to your Snowflake, it will try to help you out, and it will give it, and then we can start working. Okay, this is how your migration. Okay, similarly for that, if you are having with respect to Spark-based application, and if you want to convert that into Snowpark, you can do that also with respect to this application. You have to again install this application, and you have to start working on that. Okay, now next is something called as the data product. Again, as I said, in the marketplaces, where here is where mostly this is a public platform where user can discover, access, or free or paid data sets. Okay, there are different domains of data sets are there, where you can access those data. Like example, we have something called the COVID-19 data. There might be free. There is something called as financial data might be there. That is, if you want to access, you can go click and access this particular data. And then some are free, and some are we have to request, and some are paid. Okay, you can do that with respect to this also. Okay, there's something called as application. Now this again, we have seen this where we have to create any native application. This is a tab we can go and we can create here. Okay, there's again private sharing. As I said, we can share our data across the different accounts using this particular private sharing. We'll be sharing. Now there is something called we have to publish. If you want to publish into your marketplace, you want to sell your data into marketplace, saying that you can use my particular data, and on top of that I'll be charging. You can do that also with respect. Okay, there is something called the provider studio. What is this now? Here, if any person don't have any Snowflake account, now they can create one particular reader account for them, and then you can provide your particular data to explore your data. You can do that also using Snowflake. There is something called a partner connect, where partner connect is nothing but you are going to access different partners are there where they are connected with Snowflake, where you can create your free trial. Now I talked about Python. It's a ETL tool. Now you can click and you can explore here, and you can connect to Python, and you can explore more. No, I don't want to do that. I want to convert to Informatica, and we can do that. There's a different types of connectors are there where you can connect. We can connect to DBT. If you want to connect, we can connect that where you get a free trial. and you can explore on top of other tools also, where you can integrate other tools with respect to Snowflake that we can do with respect to this also. Now there is something called AI and ML. Now this again, it's mainly with respect to any, as I said, like if you want to create any ML flows or any native machine learning capabilities that is required, like for data scientists, machine learning engineers, or even data analysts who want to build, train, or check their models with respect to Snowflake or Snowpark ML, they can do with respect to these options. As again, data engineer will be not exploring more on top of this, but Snowflake is, there is something called as Cortex, where it has published this, where you can work with your AI ML models also inside your Snowflake. Okay. Now the main part will be monitoring, where we'll be checking. Now, as soon as you run any particular query inside your Snowflake, it creates for each and every query, it creates an ID for you. Okay. Now, in this particular query, I think it maintains for 7 days or maybe 14 days, where you can even customize this. And using this particular queries, you can identify which particular query is success, which particular query is failure, on which warehouse it's working, what is the duration for that particular query. We can even, based on the text, we can see that and we can explore that. And as soon as you click on this, it will give you a query profile, what are the profile, how it has run, what it has done. We'll see all these things in the future classes, but under the query history, you can profile your, particularly something called the, about your queries, you can check. There's something called a copy history. What is this copy history? Is you're bringing your data from something from your local using copy command. There's something called copy command, and how that particular, or else you're bringing from your S3, AWS S3, how that particular activity is performing. Is it success? Is it fail? Whatever it is doing, you can track that using something called as a copy history. Now there's something called a task history, where you can schedule your whatever the code you have written, store procedures you have written, anything you can, that you can schedule that inside your Snowflake also, and how that it is called as a task, and how that particular task is performing, you can track that under this particular task. Now there's something called the dynamic tables. This is again a new feature from Snowflake. It is like a advanced version of your materialized view. We'll be exploring that for more in the future classes, but for now, you can you can understand that these are the tables that automatically refresh your materialized view and fetches that data from the sources, and how that is performing, you can track that also using this monitor tab. Okay, and any logs, traces, anything if you want to find out with respect to Snowflake or your queries, you can do that also under this monitor tab. Okay, and any governance part. Okay, I talked about masking yesterday. I talked about something row level security, how it is working. So everything that can be checked under this particular monitor tab. Okay, coming to a admin. Okay, there is something called the admin also. Now, where admin is made, how your what are the credits, how much cost you have been spending. So based on that, all the things we can track under this cost management, and how your warehouse is performing. We can track under this something called the warehouse, where we'll be creating n number of. If you're creating multiple warehouses, there will be warehouse. And if you want to create a new warehouse, if you have access, you can create here also. Now, how to create that again? Please wait for a minute. And there's something called the compute pool. Now you can create a pools of your warehouses, and if one goes down, you want to make that another automatically takes that and run without any issues. This is mainly with respect to your Snowpark container, where we'll be creating a pool so that the heavy loading is processed continuously. You can do that also. There is something called as users, where you can now whatever the login you are done, you are a user. You are a KSR Datavision user. Okay, I've created a user. Now on top of this user, what all access I need to give, what are role thing I can give. If I want to create a new user, I can create here also. Okay. If I want to create a role, I can create a role saying that this particular user can have only access for this particular table. He can perform only reading operation. He can perform only writing operation. You can create all that the role, and then you'll assign to that user. You can do this one. Okay. About account, like when I said, right, whenever you create something account, they'll give something IDs. According information about your IDs, you can see everything. Now for how this account you can create another account, we'll see that. But you can check the information about that here also. Okay. There is something called the security. What are the security features you have? Any network issues or rules you have defined based on your account level, you can check it here. These all are the admin works mainly, and billing terms and condition. You can just go through this. Mainly these are the admin works where you'll be having. Okay. And down here, whenever you'll be creating your first time Snowflake account, you'll be given your name. So it will show that particular name. It's kind of an organization you have created. Under that, all the roles are there, your information, whatever is there. Then about all your performance, if you want to connect with the Snowflake to other things, these are all things we'll explore in the future classes. But this is your typical Snowflake UI, how it looks. Okay. Any doubts? You can ask now, or else we can go ahead. Any doubts?
Will we be covering AI ML part here, or is not part of data engineering?
No, it's not part of it. Any other doubts? No doubts? Let me share my. Okay. Now, as soon as you create, whenever you go, just as a brief understanding you need to have before getting started of Snowflake, how the account looks like inside whenever you'll be working. Okay. This is your organization. There will be only one organization where they create your Snowflake accounts, and they can create n number of Snowflake account based on their requirement. Okay. Now, for our example, we have taken one account, and how one organization will create, once they create their account, how it looks, we'll see. Okay. Under this particular account, we can create n number of users. Okay. They can log in and access this particular account. We have n number of users. Under this account, we'll be having different tiles. One is like warehouse, we saw database, roles, users, and there are a few other components. Okay. Under database is where you are working everything. Okay. Data and everything, whatever is there, it comes under database. And there is something called a schema. Other next part of the subpart is nothing but schema. Under that schema, you have your tables, views, pages, store procedures, user-defined function, or any other objects which you create under schema that comes into the picture. Okay. Now, one account can have n number of databases. Okay. But okay. This is for one database. You can have another number of database. You can have n number of warehouses. You can create n number of rows. You can create n number of. Okay. Similarly, in under database, you can create n number of schemas. Okay. How typically it looks is this is your organization. Under that, you have account. Okay. Under that account, these are the particular sub division of the account. Okay. These are the objects. Under database, you have schema. Under that, these all are the objects which will be learning one by one. And these all comes under your schema. Okay. This is how usually your architecture or hierarchy under the account looks like. Okay. I will try to create our first database and try to explore more on that. Okay. Share back my. Okay. Now, to create database, it just say that create database, something has my DB. We are going to create our database. We have created our first. Now, if you want to execute this, all the syntaxes which you have written inside Snowflake should end with this particular semicolon. Okay. Now, if you want to execute, you just keep end of the semicolon and you go here and click. There is a play button, something called as that. Once you click, now your database is created and you get something called as the information about your databases. Now my database is created. Now I want to see, you refresh here something. Once you refresh your any objects that under your data, your work under your account is being visible here. And if you click under this, you can see there are some certain two particular schemas are there. These are the inbuilt schemas that you can see here. Now one is something called as a information schema. Information schema is nothing but it's mainly maintaining about views where all the history about whatever you are running. Now, what all things we saw here, right? Now, this particular query history, copy history, track history, whatever you are doing, that's been maintained under this particular information schema. Now, we can't edit this schema. It's only read-only information. We will be reading all about ourselves, all the activities we have done. We can access that using this particular information schema. Now, I don't want to use this particular schema. This is another public schema where this is default given by the Snowflake. You can, if you don't want to create, you can directly create your objects under this. But I don't want to do that. What I will be doing, I'll be creating something called as my own schema. I say create schema. Then I say my underscore schema. As soon as I run this, now you see my schema is created. And once I refresh, you can see my schema. Now you might be seeing here, I gave my database name as my underscore DB in a small capital letters, but Snowflake has converted into that a capital. Now, whatever you create inside your Snowflake, it will automatically convert that into a uppercase. If you want anything with respect to lowercase, then you have to create your database like something like this. You have to give double quotes and say my DB. Okay, if you do this, now you can see now that particular DB is done with respect to smaller. Okay, this is how you create your any databases or schema inside your particularly Snowflake account. Okay, now any doubts in particular this?
While creating the DB, it uses compute warehouse, right?
No. Yeah, we will see about that all how it uses, because not everything anything you are creating new it will use, but some are the operation where you are just reading metadata and all. You need to understand something called as a cache for that. Once you understand that, you'll get to know how it is using the compute ware. Okay.
Object creation is
Yeah.
through without
You
credit usage.
No, for creating any objects, it uses C. Now you see here, there is something called a compute here. Now, did I on my compute whenever I was writing my queries? No, right? I said create database. Now I say let me say and go and suspend this. Okay. Now if you see a gray area, that means your warehouse is not been used. Okay. Now I say I go and say create DB3. User. Okay, maybe something cached here. I'll check that. But usually for creating, it might use, it might not use. I'll check on that. Usually, it should not use. It should use to create any objects you're using, because you're creating new, right? And you are using that. So you should. That's for the first time. You should use that. But yeah, it's not using. I'll check and I'll let you know more. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, any compute you are using, now all these are rule we'll see, but whenever you want to use something compute, now it is here. Okay, let me on this particular compute. Okay, now now here you can see particular any databases you are having here. Now you can see that. Okay, oh, it is not showing. Let me refresh. Okay, now whatever you're working with respect to your databases, it comes under here, and then if you want to access that particular database, you click here, and then you say my schema. Now under you are under this particular database under this particular schema. Now under this, I'll be creating one small table. Okay. Let's say create table, my table, say ID int. Okay, I have just created a small table inside this particular database. Now, as soon as run, you can see my particular table is being created. Something called a table style has been populated, and my table is being there, and information about that table it comes. Okay, this is how you create particularly tables or any schemas inside your warehouse. Okay, let's go on to our next topic. That is something called as the accounts. Okay. Now, these are the default rows that are being given by a Snowflake whenever you try to log in into your Snowflake account or any account. These are the rows that are being given. There is something called as the account admin role. Now, what is this account admin role? It's mainly, you can say that whatever the activities is the highest privilege, where you have full control over the Snowflake account. Okay, whatever the account things you are doing under the Snowflake, you will be having full privileges for that. There's a highest role that is being given by something called the account admin role. And there is something called the system administration role, where you can manage anything your user role grant, but not a system level settings that being given. Whereas in admin, there is something called a system admin, only your database objects, warehouse, anything with respect to that is being given here. Okay, there is another called as a user admin, where only he creates any roles and manages roles, but not your databases. And there is something called a public that is default, that is assigned to all with a basic access. Okay, to understand more, the first is account admin, something called the administrator. where is the highest privileges you have, and you have full control on the object. Okay, you can create, manage all the roles, use any resources under your Snowflake. There is something called the system administrator, where you can manage your compute, you can manage your databases and any resources, grant privileges on the global objects also. Whereas sysadmin is an object level administration, where you can manage your database, schemas, tables, views. You can manage your warehouses. I think you can create your warehouse. Okay, and just manage it and assign lower level. It's compared to system, we have less privileges to sysadmin. Okay, a user, again, I said only for creating any users we'll be using. Again, I think 2 times it came. Sorry for that. So you can use that. And organization level, if you want to have, there is something called as organization admin, but this is not particularly shown in your Snowflake account. It is with respect to your organization level. Okay. Now there might be some confusion between the sysadmin and system admin and sysadmin. Now, what system admin can do is it can infrastructure management like warehouse, resource monitoring, and everything it can give on top of your head. Whereas on sysadmin, it only manages your database schemas, tables on assigning levels with respect to that it can give. Okay, not with respect to your infrastructure. This is the main difference between your whatever the roles that is defaultly given by Snowflake. How to create these different roles, how to assign these informations, how to create a user. We'll be having a particular class for that. We'll be seeing, but this is how, why I brought this slide up, because whenever you go and you're seeing this particular thing in your UI, you can see here something called as administration. Now, we are this is organ, since it's whatever you are using is nothing but your free trial is being given here. But usually, whenever you whenever you're working in companies, all these roles will be not there. All these roles will be disabled. Only particularly whatever the user role which is given with respect to you, that will be visible. Okay. Once you click on your organization admin level, you can see there is a warehouse. Okay. Something called as a warehouse we will be selecting, and under this we'll be creating all our something called as a task. Whatever the privileges that is being there for this. Again, whenever you click and write any query, again our cloud service layer will go and check your whatever the role is assigned to you. On based on that, what are the privileges there? Then only it is going to execute. If you are not having privileges on top of this table and you are using, then it's not able to execute because it makes use of this particular role, and then only it is going to check under the cloud service layer. This is how your typical Snowflake works. You have seen our UI, you have seen how to create a table, you have seen how to create a database schema, everything. Now, until now, if you have any doubts, please let me know, or else we can move on to the first main topic, that is time travel.
In the previous snapshot, or whatever you're sharing, is it between the sysadmin and the security admin?
There is system admin and something called the sysadmin. System, it's a default, it's a name given by the Snowflake. Okay, there's some confusion here. Something they call it a system administration. Again, system object administration. Only for that they call it sysadmin. Okay, they use system, then it's mainly on the system based.
So when we are seeing those roles, can we see that system administration role?
Yeah, here when I showed you, now these all are by default given by Snowflake. Okay. Here, system administrator, security, it's showing security administrator. Maybe they might have changed here, but earlier they have shown it as a system sysadmin only. Now they might have changed here. Maybe seeing confusion of that. This is a new UI. I was seeing that, but yeah, I'm not able to see here that. You can see only sysadmin. Okay. Here has Snowflake will frequently updating everything, right? Frequently it keeps on changing. Okay, all these things. But whatever the work you do under this particular thing, that will be not there. But related to UI and all, earlier there was something called as a classic UI. Now these all things were not like this. Okay, where you have to do a lot of configuration. Now these call it as a snow site, where you can directly go and work. But here I see they have removed that particular role, and they have given only sysadmin role here. But yeah, they might have renamed that into security admin. whatever you are seeing. Okay.
Sir, there is a custom roles also be designed, right? Apart from the providing by Snowflake.
That's what I said, right? We can create our custom role, and we'll have a particular class for that. That role-based access control. We'll create our users, assign our roles, we'll grant privileges, and we'll see that.
Oh.
Okay, but because now as soon as I start working, I'll be using account admin. People will get confused. That's the reason I just brought this slide up. Again, we'll explore this more when we will be seeing our role-based access. Okay. Any doubts? Fine. Now we'll enter into a first topic of our Snowflake, that is something called as a time travel. Now, before understanding something called a time travel, I'll try to take some simple example. Okay. Now you have something called a CCTV camera, right? Or mainly we'll be using this particular CCTV camera for our security purpose. Okay. Now inside this CCTV camera, whenever you put this camera inside the system, we will be doing what we will be saying for 7 days. You keep track of all our information, whatever there. Okay, you store information of recordings for 7 days. Like this will something will do settings or configuration and will automatically set that. Now, what is this 7 days is nothing but you are putting some retention time where up to 7 days you can store all your footages and access your data up to 7 days only. Now, whatever the time you're setting, that is nothing but your retention time. Okay. Now, under the 7 days, now if you want to go and see whatever the things, whatever the videos are there, under that you're going back and you're seeing the third day's footage. Now you're going and seeing the third day footage, whatever you're going under this and checking that, that is nothing but your time travel. Okay. Now, what's the meaning of retention period is nothing but it's a retention period, is a time duration for which your Snowflake object can keep the historical data. Okay. Whatever the data you have defined, on top of that, it can keep. Now, after this data, now data will be again how now you might be configuring inside your security camera, right? After 7 days, you delete my previous data. Now, similarly, that Snowflake will delete your data or any data which you have done after 7 days. Okay. Now, deleting is nothing but now people might get confused since all the time travel are there. Is my main data inside my table is deleted? No, that main data is not deleted from your table. Whatever the data that resides in your table, it is there. But historical information about this data that will be configured using this retention days or time travel, only those information will be deleted. Okay, I will explore more on this. Now, the purpose of a retention period is nothing but how long your Snowflake object can keep this historical data, and time travel is nothing but how that within this particular retention period you're going to access that data, can recover that data, you are going to check that data, you can just read that data, whatever the things you can want to do with respect to that particular data, that will be done only with respect to this retention period. For example, here define your retention period for only 7 days on that particular table. Only for that 7 days your time travel will be allowed. Okay. Now, this can be applied on top of your database on schema or table, where time travel will only apply on top of your tables. You cannot go back for your database and say, you bring my data or anything, bring my data of 3 days back, whatever the 3 days back is there on top of data, on top of schemas, you cannot do. Okay, that is not possible with respect to time travel. Only with respect to tables, that there are different types of table. One is permanent and transit. What is that? We'll see. Only on top of that, what you can do time travel. Okay, now, it can be set again on this level, but whatever the retention period you are using, only on top of that you can bring our time. Okay. Now, for the as we saw different editions yesterday's, Whereas for standards, this retention period is default by 1 day. You can't go beyond this 1 day. Whereas in enterprise edition, you can go up to 90 days. Up to 9. If you want only 10 days, you can put 10 days. 1 day, you can put 1 day. No, I don't want, this is a business critical data. I need the information every time. Then you can put up to 90 days. Okay. Now, whatever the retention period is there, again, you can use only for that retention. Okay. Now, this is again, whatever the retention period you're using, under the hood, Snowflake storage is being used, and that particular snapshots has been kept by the Snowflake since you are defined on this particular table or database or schemas. I want to define my retention period. Okay. Now, we can, to access any time travel, we'll be using something called a select. Now, what all these queries we'll see, we can use something select queries, and then we can access your time travel. Okay, this is how you are particularly okay. Now, this is how what I am trying to explain you. Okay, now we can put on top of databases that it affects all schemas and table. How it affects, I'll let you know, but you cannot use time travel on top of your data. You cannot use time travel on top of schemas. Okay, now you have tables, and on top of tables you can put, and also you can do time travel on top of your table. Okay, now I'm expecting one question from you. Let me see who will ask based on. Now, based on this explanation, I'm expecting one question. Can anyone?
Actually, my doubt is, Sagar.
Yep.
There is a correction in this screenshot.
What is correction?
The tables are permanent and transient, right? The transient table, I don't think 90 days it will work.
Sir, that's what I'm saying, right? There are different tables. I said based on the tables, we can do time travel. There are different tables. I'll explain you what are the different types of table. I'll explain. I am saying on top of table, there is something called as a permanent table. You can apply time travel. On top of transient table, you can apply time travel. Did I say on top of time travel, I am applying 90 days? Did I ever explain?
No. You're not, but yeah, maybe we can put it the comma, some bracket in the transient as a.
Did I mention anywhere here days, sir? How many days I can do time travel?
No, you are not mentioned. Yeah.
Okay, don't get confused. Okay. Yeah, someone was asking something.
Hi, sir. We are setting up retention period on database and the schema object, and in the second column we have you are mentioning that can we use time travel directly or not? I mean, how does it happen if we are setting up the retention period over some object? Then it means we can retain the object, right? So
Exactly.
how it is not getting retained?
This is what I wanted someone to ask. Now you're saying you cannot use time travel on top of your databases and schema. Okay, but why are you putting retention period? You might be asking this question, but there is something called as next topic, that is something called as dropping and undropping. Okay, now this is also considered as a time travel inside your Snowflake. Okay, now you have set your on top of database, you have set your retention period of say 3 days. Okay, within the 3 days, by mistake, you have dropped this particular database. Okay, now you can make use of something called as say, I have dropped, you undrop this database. Now you can go back and completely bring that table or database. But you cannot say whatever now you have defined 3 days. Now, whatever the data was there before, like second day, you bring me that particular data. That kind of time travel you cannot do on top of databases, on top of schema. But if you want, if you drop your schemas, if you drop your database, that can be brought back. Okay.
Okay, sir.
No. I don't think that is because even suppose if you are going to be when we are creating a database schema and a table, during that time, it was saved in the but wherever that Snowflake cloud environment, because it's the entire time travel and database schema is maintained by the Snowflake.
Hello.
Yeah.
We are new people here. we'll get confused.
Sir,
Okay, whatever Sagar
if any questions are coming, if the people are keeping, because it's a technical discussion, sir, it's a
Sir,
new
again,
one,
sir,
because people
sorry,
are
sorry
not
to
in
disturb you,
a,
sir.
it's
Just a
not the
minute, sir.
disturb, sir, because
Sir,
if you are
wait,
saying
wait a
right
minute.
and other people are questioning
See,
is
sir,
wrong,
sir,
that is
sir,
not good, sir.
Sir, wait a minute, sir. Did I show you any demo on top of this? I have not even shown you demo how it's working.
No. The question is The question is he asked the question. Suppose if you are going to be drop the database and schema at that time, because any database objects are going to be interlink each other, like database, schema, and tables, right?
Sir,
Or
please
else
wait.
views or any other
Please wait for
objects.
the
So,
minute, sir. Sir, please wait for a minute. I have not even shown you demo how this undrop and drop is working. And you are coming and you are commenting out. Now, see, this is a 4th day, sir. Okay. With all due respect.
Okay, sir. I don't ask
not...
any more questions, sir. Because here just listen and see whatever you are presenting.
See, I'm not saying don't ask the questions.
No. Hi.
What's
his name actually? Hi.
No idea, sir.
Sir, are you there, sir?
I'm here. I'm not leaving because
Pulgam, right? Your name? Pulgam, could you please wait, sir? Shall we connect over the call, sir?
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Yeah, you can take my number. So you can give me a call after the class. We can discuss with the trainer if you have more, because other people also will be there. They will get confused, sir. So we can discuss over the call what are the questions you have. So after that, you can take a decision to go continue or not, right?
I'm not sure, sir, because the reason is
That's what we will discuss all the things offline, sir. Okay.
No, I'm not against to anybody, but the thing is,
no. We can discuss them. No, sir. You are right.
One thing,
but
sir,
other people
if
may get discussed.
somebody is asking
please.
a question.
Please.
No, if somebody is asking a question, we can answer the proper way.
We can answer, sir, but during the class, other people will get it. Now, almost 5 minutes, we are wasting some almost 30 other people's time, right? So we will discuss all your concerns, questions. We will discuss with you one-on-one. Example, Harshad, Anjani, Amit, other people are there. So they maybe don't have those questions. Unnecessarily, we are disturbing them. That's the reason. We will discuss after the class, or else continue this call. All other people once left, we will discuss with the trainer also. Any questions you have, we will ready to help you with all your doubts and we will do the clarification. Or else you can just ping me your number. I will call you back. Or else take my number and you can call me back over the call. Or else in the same, again, I will share you the Zoom meeting or Teams meeting. We will discuss there, sir. Because continuously we are discussing our own questions, because maybe other people, they don't have that much time, right? That's the reason. Okay. Shall I get your contact number, sir? Hello.
Sir, I already pasted my number. Okay, sir.
Okay. Maybe I'm not able to see. Sagar, are you able to see his number?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Ping me. We will connect with him after your regular class. Huh? Ping me in WhatsApp. Okay then. So also we will discuss with the US market as well. Maybe since you are joining from the US. So in that case, we will discuss with the US market, and the US market also US, Canada and Mexico and UK. We have a consultancy tie-ups, guys. So we will discuss about that part, and your resume making compared to India and US should be different. I will guide you with that one about that one also. Okay. And also about your visa status, and depends on your which state you are staying and how to make your marketing. If you already have a vendor, we are very happy. If you don't have a vendor, even I am able to help you with connecting with a vendor to get a good number of calls. And we are aware about how to market resume with a proper experience. Okay. So all these things we will discuss. The resume making also compared to India and US should be different, sir. You may be already aware about this, how they are marketing and how many years of experience they are showing in US market. Right? All these things we will discuss after the class. Yes, Sagar, you can continue with your regular topic. Maybe if you have more questions, we will continue another half an hour after this regular class.
Thank you.
Hey Sagar, I have a request. Can we go through one more time to today's slide?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. As I was explaining you, the first part is what whenever you're going to need to do any time travel, you need to put something called a retention period. Okay. Now, once you put a retention period on top of that particular object, only during that particular point, you can do what? You can do time travel. Okay. Now, this is a particular picture is taken by the Snowflake only. Here they are saying you can do time travel using what? Select and before. You on top of clone, there is something called clone table. On top of that also can do time travel. There is something called the undrop. This is also considered as time travel. This is not created by me. This is something Snowflake has given us based on the documentation. This is a slide which I have created. Okay. Now, what's the purposes of retention period is how long you want to have this time travel on top of that particular table. Okay. It defines you. If you are defined something as a 10 days, on top of 10 days, you can go back to time travel and you can do what? Access your data. It's nothing but time travel is nothing but you have your physical table here. Okay, you have a table. Now you said I want to put time travel of 7 days on top of this table. Now, how this time travel works is now this is a day one, and you have created a time travel on this top of this table. Now, up to day 8, okay, up to day 8, whatever the changes you have done, until that, it keeps track of that the back end, and you can use something called as a select before or after, and how what are there are certain syntaxes that you can do. And if I want to go on 5th day, what are my changes were on that particular timestamp? Okay, if you want to do, you can go on that particular time, whatever my changes are there, we can go and see that particular data. That doesn't mean that after 7 days or 8 days in my main table, your first day data is being deleted. It's a wrong thing. People will get confused here. Whatever the information is there on top of your main tables or the tables, it remains same. But the only thing is the historical information that you are applied on that top of that table, only those informations have been tracked by the Snowflake. Now on the day 8, day 9, we cannot go and access your day first record since you have defined only the time travel. Now if you also want day 1, there's something called phase save. I'll explain you in the next slide, but this is how your time travel works. Now, as I said, you cannot directly do time travel on top of your databases or schemas because your databases are linked with multiple number of objects. Your schemas are linked with multiple number of objects. Now, if you're saying only for that particular, if you say database, go back to particular timestamp, your retention period is 7 days, you're saying go back to 3 days, now all the objects that are present inside this database or schemas will be affected. So that's the reason Snowflake has not given time travel on top of your database, on top of your schemas, but they have something called as by mistakenly, if you have dropped your database, okay, if you have dropped your database by mistake, if you drop your schemas by mistake, you have something called as you have defined your retention period. Until during that retention period, you can use something called as an undrops syntax, and then you can go back and bring that particular database back. Okay, any doubts?
Applying time travel and data retention time is a developer role or kind of admin role, sir?
It's a kind of an architect role. Okay, as a developer, you will be not given access to put this all time travel and all. Okay, because whatever you are doing, putting time travel, right? You cannot unnecessarily go and put 90 days. Okay, why? Because Snowflake charges for this. Snowflake is storing this all information in the backend. The historical information is being stored. On top of that, Snowflake is charging. So if that particular table or database or schemas or any of this information, they don't have that much like business critical, unnecessary or paying to Snowflake. Okay, this is mainly an architect role based on the business critical, whatever the things are there, they define individually. If you, I'll come to that way on top of when we'll be discussing about different types of tables, how this time travel is been defined. We'll discuss that, but it will be not a developer role. It will be mainly an architect role based on discussion with the client, and everything will come up based on your project requirement. Will come up with this any time travel or how much retention time that should be defined on top of the object.
Hi, Sagar, do we
How
really
to
use this
know
feature?
particular database or table have that much of
Yeah,
retention rate?
I'll show the demo, sir. I'm explaining you the concept. We'll have a complete demo on that. We'll write the code and
Sir,
we'll.
okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Sagar, if for the big organization, they want to keep the record for a long time, right? So in that case, how it will work? 90 days is okay. After they want to keep it for 1 year, right? In the history of the record. So how it work?
No, your information in the table is there like that only. That is not been changed. The historical changes. See, by default, this depends on the editions. Okay, for enterprise edition or physical critical edition, this is the 90 days by default. But beyond this, if you want to go, I think you need to connect with Snowflake. You can talk with them, but they will be charging more on top of that. Okay, this based on the editions, only these many number of days has been given. You can't go max more than 90 days.
Okay.
Sagar, in the
Because
real world, how
usually
do we
the
use
archive will work.
this feature?
Sorry?
In enterprise scenarios, do we really use this 90 days
No,
retention thing?
I never
or,
said 90 days we are using. Again, it depends on your business critical. Okay, there might be some tables which are very, very important. I need to make sure that any financial table is there. I need to make sure no changes, no effect should be happened. Now, this is very based on this table only. My whole company is running. I can go and say, okay, let me at least keep for 90 days. Now, there are only locks are there. I don't want to see more than 7 days. After that, these locks can be deleted from this backend, but on my main tables, those logs are still residing. But the changes, historical information, all those, I'm deleting only that inside time.
Okay, you mean like at some dimension tables or something like that?
Let me take an example. Okay. Now, you have a sales table.
No, I understand. So it's like dimension tables, is it?
Any table. It's not about your table. Okay. Only that should be a table. Now, there are different types of table. Okay. I'm not saying that. But on top of table, if you applied your retention time, based on top, if you apply 90 days, it will keep 90 days. It will keep track of 90 days of time travel. Okay. If you apply 10 days, it will only keep 10 days back in your time travel information of historical use. But if you are now first day, on the day one, you had 100 records. Okay. On 10, say 100 day, you have something 10,000 record. This is your main table. That will be there. Okay. But since your time travel is only 10, up to 90 days, if on this particular day you have say something 95,000, 1 lakh. 1 lakh. So I have 95,000 records. Now these are 5,000 records. There are some scrap record that has come. I don't want that. I want to go say something as 97th day. I want to bring back this particular data. Until this particular data is there. These all are wrong data that has been entered in this particular table. Since I have time travel, I can go back and say revert back this information until this particular whatever the time is there. I can revert back. This is what I'm saying. Now, whatever the days you are saying, 90 days, or all these things, that is been defined by your business architect based on the requirements. Okay, one table can have 90 days, one table can have 20 days, one table can have 1 day, one table minimum is 1 day, one table can have 3 days. Now, based on the requirements, you define individually on top.
Okay, thank you. Understood. So generally,
only Snowflake data warehouse only have this feature, or compared to Redshift or Google BigQuery, also same kind of feature like this?
No, in BigQuery there is 7 days you can put by default, whereas in Redshift they say something called a snapshot. You have to go and keep on taking the snapshot. Okay, that's there. On there, Snowflake was the first company that came up with a time travel. It was the first company. On based on that, again, even in Databricks we have something called the time travel. There also there is there, but we need to make use of something called the delta table. Using delta tables only, this again open data format only using that can put on top of inside the database. Whereas in Snowflake, it is a by default.
Okay. On the continuation of this comparison between data warehouses, I have heard that compute warehouse only, Snowflake only have compute warehouse feature, whereas no other data warehouse don't have that compute warehouse. Is it true, sir?
You might be talking about decoupled architecture. Now we have discussed that in a previous class. Did you join that?
Not yet. Today on the first class, sir.
Okay, you can go through recordings. We have discussed that, but still, if you have doubt, we'll talk about that.
Sure, sir. Yeah, we'll ping in group. Yeah.
Yep.
Sagar, what is the advantage of using this time travel? Do we want to like restrict the space, or like we want to remove the space from the database?
Now, how that works, give me some time, I'll explain. There is something called a fail safe, and after that, I'll explain. Okay? Okay. Now, any doubts with drop and undrop? Any doubts with drop and undrop?
Sagar, basically drop is for database and schema. Drop and
even
undrop
table
is
also
for
you can use. Table, it's any drop and undrop based on database schema table on all top of this. It's a feature of time travel also. I'm saying.
For tables, we have retention period or time travel of 90 days we can have. After that, failsafe come into picture, right? Failsafe, we have to contact
whatever
for
retention.
Snowflake team.
Now, you guys are getting confused. I'll show you the demo tomorrow, how it works, so that once you get that how end-to-end it is working, then you'll have some idea. Now we'll just try to understand what is time travel, and we'll try to understand what is failsafe. Once we understand this, we'll apply on top of our table. We'll say there is something called as a data retention time in days. We'll define on top of that particular database, on top of that schema, on top of table. Now, once we define how it is affecting the other objects also, we'll see that. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, there is something called as a failsafe. Okay. Now, what is this failsafe is, now you said, max I can go up to 90 days. Okay. Now, I have defined my something called a retention period on top of my objects. I've gone up to 90 days. Now, after this 90 days, again, Snowflake by themselves, they keep this 7 days. Okay. Now, this 90 until this 90 days, you can make use of something called as drop, undrop, the select queries. All this can do and access those information. Whereas in failsafe, you cannot go and access. Okay. From 91 to 97th day, there is something that is maintained by Snowflake. And if you want to access this, again, you have to go and request your Snowflake team. And based on that, they will charge you. And again, if you want, they can bring that particular data back. Okay, this is an extreme case situation. By mistake, if you're not even able to bring that data back. Okay, for example, here defined, you thought that for this table, this is not much important. I've defined 3 days as a time travel or retention period I can put on top of this table. Okay, now after this 3 days, from 3 days to 10th day, it will be under fail safe. Now, by mistake, you saw on the 5th day, and you are seeing there was some unnecessary data that is incoming. Now, I cannot go back and go beyond these 3 days to access those. At that time, this failsafe will come into the picture, and you can connect with your Snowflake team and raise a ticket saying that I want this was the retention time I had put on top of this table, but I was not able to get that. I think it's still there is in, something called as a failsafe. Can you please bring that particular data back, and what Snowflake team will work with you, and then they will revert that data back. Okay, but you don't have control on this particular 7 days when it moves to 7. Okay. Any doubts? I'll take one example and explain into it. But till now, any doubts?
No, Shiva.
Okay. Now, let's say I have created one table as sales. Okay, I have put 1 day as a retention period. Now, if you put 1 day as a retention period, what will happen? If I put 1 day as a retention period, according to my explanation, what do you mean by that?
Like we can access data
Can
only for
retrieve 1 day,
okay.
for 1 day.
Time travel is only for 1 day, right? Okay. Now I have created this table on say April 1st. Okay. Now you have something called as, let's say this is something how time travel works. Let's assume that. Okay. Now since you have created this on April 1st, let's say you have created on 9 a.m. Okay. Now you have created on 9 a.m. and you are going and writing your time travel feature and get me 1 day previous day data. What will happen? Now, is there before 1 day, is there any table created?
No.
Since it is not having any object, it says there was no particular object present at this particular time. Okay. Now, how your time travel works is it works based on your time basis. That is 24-hour time basis. It works. Okay. As soon as you write on, you can go on 10 a.m. If you can go and say time travel to back to 1 hour. Now queries and all I will explain you. We can go and fetch that 1 hour. But if you say 2 hours, again it will give you an error since before 2 hours, that is 8 a.m. your table is not been created. Okay. Now as soon as the 24 hours completed, now let's come. Now this there will be no time travel for 1 day. I'm saying taking for 1 day. Okay. Again, don't confuse. Okay. Now I came something for April 2nd. Okay. Now, whatever the time travel is there, I can access for April 1. From this particular day to here, 24 hours, whatever you are writing your query, until that, I can access my data, historical data. I'm not saying the data is not there in April 2nd. That is there in main table. But what are the changes that have happened between 1 to 2? There might be insert, delete, update, anything might have happened. What are that happened historical changes? I can access that. Now I go to something called as April 3rd. Now once I go to 3rd, what will happen? You will be having, since I defined only my time travel as 1 day, my time travel will be only done till April 2nd until that 24 hours window. Okay. Now whatever I explained you something called as failsafe. Now I'll be saying showing failsafe under this. Okay. And time travel under red. Okay. And these dates you just assume that. Now, whatever you have the time travel, since you have defined 1 day, your failsafe will go for April 1st. Now, I said 7 days. Before 7 days, is there any data here? Any table is created? No. That's the reason only April 1st will come. Now, I'll go something as April, let's say April 4th. Now I have 4th. Now your time travel for 24 hours, since you have defined only 1 day, it will come one before that, we can access up to April 3rd. Now how your fail-safe work is till April 2nd and April 3rd, your data, whatever is data is there of this, it will go into fail-safe. Now you can query, you can do anything up to your data only with respect to 4th to 3rd. Okay, I will continue this and we'll see few more until 7 days. It will complete. I'll see. Now we have 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Okay, if you have 5th of April, it will go up to what? 4th of April. It will go up to 5th of April, 6th of April, and 7th of April. Now this you have defined as a what? Time travel. Now my fail safe will go April 3rd, April 2nd, and April 1st. Now here it will go April 4, 5, 6. Sorry, this is 4, 3. No, this should be 3, 2, and April 1. Now for 6, it will go April 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. April 1. Now for 7th, it will go April 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 7. Now what happens is, now let's understand this. Okay, till here, April 1st, now you got your data till what? 7th day. Okay, now you have April 6th. Now you can travel for 1 day. Now if you query anything for April 6th, you cannot do, since you have defined only 1 day as a time travel, and I want to access some data from April 4th. I need to do what? Reach your Snowflake team and say, I need my data is there inside the failsafe. Please bring that data back. Okay, I want to access only till April 7th I can do. Now, what happens is, let me take on April 9. Now, your again time travel will be till what? April 8. But what happens here? Only your failsafe. Now, it will be there from 7, April 6, April 5, April 4, April 3, and April 2. Now, this April 1 data will be deleted by Snowflake on the backend storage. You'll be never will be having access. Now, if you're going on April 9th and saying, I want to access my data of April 1, that will be not there, since only failsafe is there only for 7 days. Now, any doubts in this? Any doubts in this? No doubt? No doubt?
No, you can go ahead.
Okay. Now, what happened is, fine. Let's say on April 9th, I defined, I changed my retention period to 2 days. Okay. Now, how it works is, once you define your retention period for 2 days on April 9th, since you have defined here on 2 days, as soon as you define it, it is not been applied. Okay. Now I have changed it. Now, whatever the data is there inside your failsafe. Now, this data, all the data is there in your failsafe. Even though you have changed your retention period, once it goes to your failsafe, you can't bring that data back. Okay. That is gone. Once it's gone, it's gone. Okay. Now, once you come with the April 10, again, you'll be having what? Your time travel only for 9 days. And whatever 8th day is there, it will go back to your failsafe one. Okay. Since you have defined here, sorry, it won't go here. Whatever the data is there from April 7. Okay. Now, from April 7, since you have defined your retention period as 2 days here, your April 9th data is there. And from April 7 to April 2, it's all data still it is there. Now, last data of April 2 will be deleted, since 7 days already completed. It will be there only till April 3. Okay. Now, this data is there. Now, your failsafe is decreased from 7 days to 6 days. Why? Because you have changed it here. Now, data is there in failsafe. It cannot come back. Okay. But when I go to something called as April, say 11. Now, what will happen? You have your time travel for what? April 10 also, April 9 also. Now, your failsafe will come from April 8 till only whatever data is there till your last April 3rd. Only till there it will be there. Once that data, April 2nd data is already deleted, that can't come back. Okay. Slowly it will accumulate, and then till 7 days is then it will take, and again how the 1 day work, right? It will work on the same way. Okay. Now you got how failsafe time travel and failsafe works.
Yeah.
One question. If we drop a table, can we go time travel? Can we go back on the time travel?
That's what I said, right? Until this time travel you have defined, right? You have defined 1 day. Okay. Now your time travel is for 1 day. You have defined your retention period as 1 day. Okay. Now this is April 1st. You have created, and up to April 24 hours. 24 hours, April 2nd. That is you have created on 9th of AM. If you go and say 8 AM, you say and undrop, you can do that. After again this 24 hours, it will go where? It will go for 7 days in failsafe.
Okay, thank you.
Now I have created this particular table. Okay, we have created few of the databases and all, right. What I'll do, I'll say something there is called as show parameters like data underscore retention underscore time underscore in days. Okay, this is a parameter which you are defining. Okay, I want to check in my database and say what was my database, my DB. Okay, as soon as you click here and you run this particular query, you can see here by default it is 1 day. Whatever your retention period is there, that is there by default, and your value is there for 1 day. Okay, I want to check this for my schema. My is my schema. Okay. And this is what it is, schema, right? Now, as soon as you run this particular query, now by default it is also 1 days is what is the, here you have description also, that is the number of days you can retrieve the older version or deleted or updated version. Okay, you can see that by default all these are there 1 day. Now what I need to do is I need to alter and say I want to increase this days of retention. Okay, days of retention on top of my database. Now I'll say something has alter I think alter database. Okay, I say alter database, my database name. And I say set whatever this days in retention period, let me say and say I'll set for 5 days. Okay, now what I'm doing, I'm altering my database. This is the highest hierarchy in your database. I'm altering my database, I'm setting my days in retention for 5 days. Now, as soon as I set this, it was successful. And when I'm going to run this particular thing, now default it was 5 days, but it has come with by default it was 1 day, but the value is coming for 5. Now what? Until this 5 days, you can do what? Okay. Now here, once I go and see this particular schema again, what happens is it is also changed to 5 days. Why? Why it is happening is, see, your database comes first, and then your schema comes, and then your table comes. Right? This is a hierarchy. Now, whatever the highest retention period you have put, it is going to implemented on this particular. Now I'm saying, why are you going and implementing this? For this particular database might be 5 days, but for my schema, this is important. And I want to put this something as I want to retain at least history for 7 days. I am going to alter my schema. Alter schema. My schema. I say 7. Once I change this and I run this particular schema, and once then I go to this particular show parameter, now it has been changed to 7. Now, if you see in the database, it is still 5 days because now you explicitly you have said my schema is important. I want 7. Okay. Now again, I'll go and say this was 5 days is wrong. Let me put as 3 days since it was too much number of days I've given. And once I run this, that should run. And once you go and check, your retention period is changed to 3 days. But once you check your retention period for schema, it is still 7 days because you have mentioned it as 7 days. Once you explicitly mention whatever the value you have mentioned, only those retention period it is going to take. Okay, someone did ask me, right, how this is taking these days. Who was that? Sorry, I don't remember.
Hello, sir. I have a scenario. Say, suppose we are setting up retention period for database as 5 days, just like we did over here. and we are setting up data retention period for schema lesser than that of database. What will happen in that moment?
Okay, like whatever explicitly you have mentioned. Now you said 3 days, right? Now let me alter it to 1 day and run this. Okay, now.
Sorry, sir, I was disconnected. Could you please repeat? Sorry.
Now I have changed it to 1 day. You asked me for 1 day. Okay, whereas my database is what now 3 days. If I go and see, it is changed to 1 day. Whereas my database you have done for something called as 3 days, that is already there. If you go and change it today, I'm going and changing for 2 days. Only your database is affected. Okay, but your schema is not affected since you are explicitly are going and defining this particular database. Whatever the retention time you want, you are defining. Got it?
Okay, sir, clear. Okay, sir, yeah.
Okay. Now, see, I say drop database my DB. I'm dropping my particular database. Okay. Once I drop my database, we can see that there is no okay. Once you drop, all the object with respect to that database is also dropped. Now, by mistake, I have done this. I should have not done that. I can simply go and say undrop database my DB. Once I do this, what will happen is database name wrong. When I do this, whatever my database was dropped, that has come back. Okay, now why it is happening, since you have defined this retention period. Okay, only during that particular period, whatever the information is there, that is coming back. By default, it is 1 day. You can't keep less than 1 day. Okay, since you are doing a drop and undrop, it is bringing that back, only that information. Okay, now you have kept your information for, say, again, I said you have defined only for 1 day and you have dropped your for third day. Now only 1 day back, that is until second day. Whatever the retention period I have set, only until that, whatever the data is there, that is brought. Now you have undropped here on the second day only, since you have a retention period of 1 day, you are bringing that back. Now if you go and do on the say like this, okay, you have 1 day as a retention period. Okay. Now on the second day, you have dropped. Now third day you did not realize, and on fourth day you're going and saying undrop, it won't work because it has went to fails. Okay, that's what I was explaining you. Only this drop and undrop works based on the retention period, how much you have done. Past this, it will go into a fail-safe. Now, if it have come down the second day itself within 24 hours, and you have done undrop, it would have. Okay. Any doubts? Any doubts?
So by default, for every table, it's 1 day, right? We
no by
need
default,
to create.
they will keep as 1 day. Now I said for what, now we are using what, enterprise edition, right? I'm saying okay. I'll put for 100 days. Okay, I'm saying in retention period as 100 days. We'll throw an error saying that maximum allow retention period is 90 days. Okay.
Okay.
If you have any other doubts, please let me know. Okay, we are good for today. We'll continue again tomorrow. We'll see a few more examples. We'll see with respect to tables, how it is working, how to access the data with respect to table using time travel. We'll see that, and then we'll enter into something called the different types of tables.
Yeah, and please share the document for the.
Which document? The access to. Okay, I'll let Mahesh know. You'll add that.
Yeah. So are you going to provide the, syntax document kind of thing for this?
Now, see, this is what we had followed in whenever I was explaining in MySQL. So I won't provide you a script. Okay, I'll provide a screenshot. You have to type and you have to practice. But again, since we are having a lot of things in Snowflake, not everything I'll be providing only screenshot. I'll give scripts also whenever you need to execute fast, you need to learn fast. There I'll be providing scripts.
Oh, okay, sure. Thank you.
Fine. If you have any other doubts, please let me know.
Sagar, like that.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, Sagar, the DB that you are using currently, it is Snowflake DB.
Which DB? I have created my database, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This database is for Snowflake. This one.
Yeah. Inside Snowflake, we are creating our database, right?
Okay, so like the syntax like will be little different from the generic SQL queries, right?
What's there? What difference is there? Is there any different create database name?
No, like so parameters like these things. So parameters like in database MyDB, these things. The third line, fourth line.
Third line, fourth line. See, all Snowflake will be having their own syntax, right? These are all the parameters that has been defined. Okay. There are some information. These all are some functions are there, views are there where we need to access those. So will be based on that. Syntax will be changing. But the SQL concept is same, right?
Yes, correct.
Yep. That's I think you're MySQL batch student, right? Sorry if I take.
No, I have not taken that.
Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry, my bad. Okay. Yep. Any other doubts?
Sagar, working on different worksheets. For example, if one developer set the retention period for 5 days, in another worksheet, another developer made that for 10 days.
No, it is not on the worksheet basis. It's on the database object basis. Now, if you're
For
setting
access
1 day,
for the
another comment
database.
said, yeah, 10 days, it will take 10 days.
10 days. How can I know that it is reset for 10 days, though I
This
changed
is one
it for
more.
7 days?
This is how the retain values are there. And there is something called a view. Using that also you can access. I will be explaining that.
Okay.
There is something called as an information table schema. Okay, let me show you
Yes.
that.
No, I know that.
Okay. Yeah.
It got merged like that. So I think.
Yeah, sorry.
I set it for 7 days. Someone changed that. How can I know that without
Who changed
going
that?
to information schema?
Yeah, that information is not that level of information. Okay. Again, you have to create all your store procedures at all. If you want to do auditing and all, you have to do that. Okay. But where who changed it and all, that is your internal work. But whatever is happening on top of object basis, they'll show you. Okay. Something called as information schema. Okay. Not using that.
No, spelling is wrong. Information. I think that's all.
Information is wrong. Spelling.
And Sagar, I have a question. So the role can prevent us not seeing the retention time
Yeah,
in
again, it all what all the roles you are defined, right? What are the access you can have based on that it will. Now you can see
because
here.
I'm checking that query on my work database and the schema. It is not resulting any data.
Which one you have using now? You are using if you are using on other levels. If you don't have that access, you won't be given. You will not be getting that.
Okay. Yeah, it could be an issue.
Yeah,
with
it's
my
based on the role basis. That's what I said, right? Account admin will be having highest privileges. Each and everything it can do.
Yeah, I cannot see the retention period, what is applied to my database.
Yeah. Yep. This is how we can see another way of your retention period is this. On top of particular schema, what is my retention? using this information schema table. These are the views that is present under this particular views. All this history has been maintained. I don't want to put any of this. I just want to go and see all the information. I'll just give here whatever there for this particular DB, or even you are going to get with respect to information schema also, all the information. Okay, we'll explore more this on tomorrow's class. If you still have any doubts, please let me know. No doubts? Kilograms are left. Okay, they left. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you give some time, I'll show you demo and I'll showcase you. In between only, if you're coming and like questioning me how this work, it won't work. Without demo, how can you showcase you that? If in today's class, if something has gone the wrong way, please don't take it that. We'll be explaining each and everything, but we just request you guys to give some time. Okay? Are we good? Okay, we'll meet tomorrow then.